Welcome back to our channel, ladies and gentlemen. For the very first time, I have seen a Kenya Kwanza cabinet secretary standing before Kenyan youths and staring at them in their face and telling them, I'm sorry, we hoodwinked you during the campaigns. And he went ahead and even said, let God forgive us. Moses Kuria was presiding over the National Youth Service pass out somewhere in Rwaraka. And while giving his speech, this particular one caught my attention.
Vilevile, juzi mliona tulikuwa na recruitment ya jeshi. Tukasema wale wako na NYS tumewapatia nafasi zilikuwa ngapi? 300 kwa jeshi. Wale watu walitokea interview walikuwa 10,000. Jamani, hiyo siku mimi nililia machozi jamani. Kazama Mungu, kwa niaba ya wale wote ambao wanakudanganya tuko kazi na tunaachilia vijana wako, Mungu nisamehe na utufungulie hata kama ni kapengo kadogo tu kurudia ufalme yako, kwa sababu itakuwa ngumu. Tumekosea. When it takes 10,000 people to come for 300 jobs, we have a lot of work to do. Na mimi vijana, mimi nataka mfanye yenu. All I'm asking from you, please let us stop negativity. Let us avoid desperation.
This is what informed the decision by Moses Kuria to apologize to the youths. I listened to him and I thought, who has baptized Moses Kuria? Is he just talking for the sake of talking? Because Moses Kuria is one person who told Kenyans to stop crying foul about the increased prices of petrol and petroleum products. And he told us tuende tuchimbe vizima vyetu ili tupate mafuta. But in his recent sentiments, he's been leaning towards the hustlers. I remember him when he was in the Ministry of Trades. He went around launching industrial parks. And while there, especially in the opposition strongholds, he told off Rigathi Gachagua about the politics of shareholders, and he kept on reminding the government that he serves that all Kenyans deserve to be protected, to be serviced equally, whether you voted for Ruto or not. And then today, Moses Kuria has been transferred and is in another ministry. He is at it again. Whether he gave these sentiments intentionally or subconsciously, from where I sit, I think William Ruto will not be very happy. The reason why William Ruto will not be very happy, Moses Kuria is quoting the biblical proverb that it will be very difficult for a rich man to get into heaven, just as it is difficult for a camel or a horse to pass through a needle's hole. And the reason why he was attaching it to a biblical perspective is one that caught my attention, because you all understand that this government is full of themselves, always going for prayers every Sunday. But again, these are the same hustlers that William Ruto and Rigathi Gachagua were told that immediately they get to power, they will form a government of the hustlers, creating jobs, ensuring that there is an environment for doing business. But now 1 year down the line, jobs are not there, because from the pictures that you saw there, they only needed 3,000 ex-NYS graduates. But the youths who arrived at that venue were over 10,000. They were drawn from all the counties: Bungoma, Nyanza, Trans Nzoia, Kirinyaga, Coast, Tana River, Nairobi, name them. And this shows you that youths are really going through a predicament that is untold. That's no wonder some of them decide to commit suicide. And Moses Kuria was telling them, we should not live in despondency. We should never give up. There must be a hope of a better tomorrow. And I think that is very important, that youths, even though they are going and passing through tough times, there must be a hope. But someone was telling me that even if you try to give yourself hope, when you wake up to the news in the Kenya Kwanza regime about corruption, about nepotism, about promises that are never kept, then you're at a loss, and sometimes you wonder where we are headed as a country. How I wish that all the government officials would realize that they cheated Kenyans, and they would stand and apologize and tell them that we want to begin afresh, instead of blame game. Because apart from Moses Kuria, if you would give our deputy president a chance to respond to what he was saying, he will tell you that we are suffering because of the former regime, because of Uhuru Kenyatta and Raila Amolo Odinga, who they say was the advisor to Uhuru Kenyatta. How I wish that we stop the blame game and face the reality, because we can never solve our problems without facing the reality. When you realize that you have failed, failure is part of human nature. You only need to make an about turn, because you cannot blindly walk into a very thick, dark forest. You don't know where you are going, but you keep on moving. The Kenya Kwanza team should make an about turn, stop the blame game, sit down with their think tanks and find out what they can do. Because when they were campaigning, they kept on saying, we have a plan. But the plans are not just working. And that is why I agree with the sentiments of Moses Kuria. Our youths are really suffering. Joblessness, not because they are idle, but there are not even those opportunities, even for doing business. You've seen our investors running away from Kenya. If investors are running away, in fact, I was reading that Tanzania has surpassed Kenya as an economic hub in East Africa. Ethiopia has surpassed Kenya in its engagement with the Chinese government in building infrastructure, because our president is busy dancing to the tune, the harmonious tune of the US and the UK. We are about to receive King Charles, and we are all doing all this because of theatrics and politics. We say that we want to plant trees, then we allow logging to take place. How I wish that this government would wake up from the slumber and face the realities on the ground, because only then will our youths wake up. But to Moses Kuria, I don't know what will happen to him, because such kind of sentiments will not go down well with the government, because he's telling the reality. You know, the government does not want people who say, who is being realistic. That is why when Rigathi Gachagua is telling Ruto that we need a government of shareholders, Ruto does not want that, and Ruto is telling him that that is primitive. Well, when you scrutinize things very carefully, they are practicing shareholding policy, because in their appointments, the Rift Valley, and Central Kenya dominate ministries and parastatals. But William Ruto wants Gachagua akule polepole bila kupiga kelele. And that's what I'm saying, that Moses Kuria will either be warned or he will go, because these kind of realities are not accepted in this government. Or maybe he has just adopted William Ruto's way of doing things, just telling us what we want to hear. But the situation where we are in is very pathetic.